Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Chilltown Hoops. I'm your host, Jermaine. The youngsters call me OG. My friends call me J-Dub. Let's get to it. This is my favorite time of the year. This is when we find out how competent teams are. And not only do we find out how competent teams are, this is when we find out how good teams are at what they're doing in the front office, right? Because when you see the Golden State Warriors winning the NBA championship, when you see the Boston Celtics in the NBA championship, right? When you see the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference championship, when you see all of these teams doing what they're doing, you figure out, man, how did they do this? How did they do that? Well, when you look at the Boston Celtics, where'd they get Marcus Smart? In the draft. How about Jason Tatum? In the draft. Jaylen Brown? In the draft. White. They got him in a trade. They got Williams in the draft. They got Robert Williams in the draft. So the Golden State Warriors, they get Steph in the draft. They get Clay in the draft. Draymond in the draft. Looney in the draft. Poole in the draft. So you get to see what these guys are doing and how competent they are. And then you also get to see what other teams are doing and how incompetent they are. Not because they're back with the number 1 overall pick, but because they're back in a repeat form. Well, they got this pick wrong, and they got that pick wrong, and they're continuously getting picks wrong. And you can see this with them constantly being there. So when you have the number 1 overall pick in the draft, you can't get it wrong. You can't. Because this could set us back years. When you have the number 1 overall pick in the draft, it could set us back years. So we have to get this right. Now, you have instances where, guys are picked later, which doesn't really bother me a lot. So, for example, when the Milwaukee Bucks in 2013 picked Giannis, well, that's a playoff team. So in the process of them being a playoff team, Giannis doesn't have to play right away. We could work on developing him. When the Warriors draft Kevin Looney with the number 30 pick overall, well, the Warriors are a championship team. He doesn't have to play right away. We can develop him. San Antonio Spurs, when they draft DeJounte Murray in 2016 with the number 30 pick in the first round, well, we don't have to play him right away because we got a championship team. We have a championship team. So we don't have to play him right away. Kyle Anderson, Jordan Poole, when they draft him with the 28th pick, the Golden State Warriors. We're a championship caliber team. We're going to get Clay back. We're going to get Steph back in the fold. We're going to get Dre back, and we're going to be healthy. Looney's healthy. So we don't have to play him right away. We're in a really good position. But then you have teams like the Orlando Magic who aren't very good. They're at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So when you have the number 1 overall pick, this guy plays immediately, which means that we have to get this right. This isn't something where, okay, we're going to see what happens with this guy and maybe he'll develop. No, we have to get this right because this could set us back years. Jobs are on the line. Careers are on the line. So when the Orlando Magic draft Pachero, who is one of the best wing scorers in the game, who can play on the box, who's a really good rebounder, he's a playmaker, can shoot the long ball. He looks like he fits the part. We maybe can build our unit around him because we already have our franchise point guard in Cole Anthony, 16-6. We have Wagner, who was in the running for Rook of the Year. But the question that we have in Orlando is, what kind of program are you guys running down here? Mo Bamba hasn't developed like I would have hoped he'd develop. Jalen Suggs, the jury is still out on him. They're going to get Fultz back. So what kind of program are you guys running to ensure that you got it right with this guy? And that's the thing that I'm worried about more than anything. Not him particularly. I feel the same way about Chet Holmgren. I should love him more than I do. And I think my problem is that I don't love him at 2. I love his skill set. I love his ability to protect the rim, his ability to handle the basketball, to shoot the long ball. I'm not in love with him athletically, but I like him athletically. I don't love his build, but that doesn't bother me that much because these guys develop. Just because, Giannis was under 200 pounds when he first showed up. KD was wiry when he first showed up. And KD never really developed into a huge guy, which I don't think that matters. Reggie Miller was the same way. I should love this kid Chet more than I do. And I think that my issue is that I would love him more if he was on a unit where that they could develop him as opposed to him being on a unit where he's got to play right away. Because I'm not sure if he's a franchise player yet. I didn't know that Giannis was a franchise player. I just remember watching Giannis in year 3 thinking to myself, somebody's not doing their homework. Because I'm watching him and I'm seeing him get better every year because he was able to. Like, they didn't have to throw him right into the fold. The Milwaukee Bucks made the playoffs the year that they drafted him. So it wasn't urgent for him to play immediately. That's kind of how I feel about Chet. I feel like if he was on a unit where he didn't have to play immediately and we could develop him more, I think I would love him more. And I think that's the problem. I think Jabari Smith is the best player in this draft. And I think Houston, when Orlando picked Pachero and Oklahoma City picked Chet Holmgren, I think that they were doing backflips in their war room because they felt like, we got our franchise player. Because they already have a piece in Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green is going to be one of the better wing players in the game. I don't know if he's a franchise player, but I think he's going to be one of the better wing players in the game. But this kid, Jabari Smith, my man told me about him. One of my good buddies, my best friend told me about him in December of 2021. He said to me, this kid from Auburn, you need to watch him. He reminds me of Lenny Bias. I get goosebumps when he says this to me. Because my immediate response to him is, do you remember Lenny? You remember the money mid-range J that Lenny had? The athlete that Lenny was? How mean and ferocious Lenny was? Do you remember him? Red Auerbach looked at Lenny and said, that's my franchise player right there. I'm going to build, this Bird's going to go, Mikhail's going to go, and then I'm going to build my unit around Lenny. He's going to be my guy. So when he tells me that, that's immediately what I'm thinking about Jabari. Is this guy a franchise player? So I'm looking for the schedule. I'm thinking, I got to start watching Auburn basketball. And sure enough, money mid-range game. Every bit of 6'9". Freak athlete, long arms, can handle a basketball. And he's got some things to work on, just like any other rookie. But I think that this guy is going to have an immediate impact. Immediate. Another kid that I was really feeling was this kid, Benedict Mathurin. And the reason why I feel like that, this kid Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, is because I care about how you improved. I care about your progress. So this kid Mathurin, he goes from 10 points to almost 18 a game. So it's obvious that there's improvement there and that he's going to get better. And not just he's going to get better, he's willing to put the work in to get better. I care about stuff like that. When I'm bringing in a new guy, that he's not just going to sit around and rest on his laurels. I'm going to get better. And you're going to see me get better. And I think that they got that right with him. Jalen Williams is kind of almost from the era that I came up in. He played 3 years at Santa Clara. Played 3 years at Santa Clara, and he got better every year. Every year he got better. And I think that they got a gem in him. No doubt about that. I really believe that they have a gem in him. I think the steal of the draft in addition to Jalen Williams, because I think he's a steal of the draft. Because like I said, we're talking about a kid who every year he got better. You know, he went from, I think, 8 points to 12 points to 18. Right? And his assist total doubled from year 1 to year 3. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about a guy not just improving, but the work ethic is there. And his game is going to translate to the next level. So I think that Oklahoma City, thumbs up for that right there. The steal of the draft, and I stand on this, is Mark Williams from Duke. The first thing I was thinking about with him was if the Milwaukee Bucks were to trade up, he is absolutely what they're looking for. He is the big man that they need. I think he's going to be good in Charlotte. I think that they got the right guy, but I'm looking at him thinking he would start day one on the Milwaukee Bucks because he's exactly what they need. Freak athlete, 7 feet tall, run like a deer, rebound with the best of them. And in the 2 years that he played in Duke, he also improved. Now, you know, not a lot of people would scoff at that because, I mean, you play for Coach Krzyzewski, you will improve, right? You will improve. Now, there's a lot of people who worry about Duke picks. I don't. I do not. You know, I think Zion Williamson is going to be back to what he used to be. We already see what Jason Tatum is doing. We see what Kyrie Irving is doing, and we're going to get to Kyrie Irving in a bit. So I don't worry that much about guys who played at Duke. But I think that this kid, Mark Williams, I think he's going to be the consummate big man. I was surprised that the Knicks passed on him at 11 because I think I think he's better than Mitchell Robinson. I think he could be. I think he will be better than Mitchell Robinson. I don't see the commitment there from Mitchell Robinson. I just don't. And I think that Mark Williams would have been perfect for them. I think he would have been perfect for them. So I'm not really concerned about the Duke pick because, like I said, guys like Kyrie Irving, who turned into great pros, Duke has that. And since we're on the subject of Kyrie Irving, you know, the question remains, you know, what's the plan moving forward with him? Well, nobody really knows. But I got a question. How do you feel about us moving off Kyrie Irving and getting a boatload for him? Like you sign Kyrie Irving and you move off of him because I think Marks is over him. I do. And the reason why I feel like that is because they didn't extend him. And when you don't extend your star player, one of two things is going on. Either you trust him too much, and LeBron James already gave us the blueprint on that in 2010, that if your star player in a contract year is not going to sign an extension, you got to deal him. So either you trust him or you're comfortable with him just walking out the front door. And Danny Ainge let Kyrie Irving walk out the front door. And I'm not trying to hear that again. And I think Marks isn't trying to hear that again. But I think that he's over him. And I think he's over how problematic, how uncommitted Kyrie Irving is. And I think that he's willing to get whatever he can for him. So that may mean having to move off of Kevin Durant too. Which, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm asking for everything that I can possibly get for both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Now, you probably saying, oh, gee, why are you moving off of both of these guys? Well, because I already have a franchise player in Ben Simmons. And we're going to build a unit around him. Isn't that what he wanted all along, even when he was in Philadelphia? That's what he wanted the whole time. The whole time when he was in Philadelphia. That's what he wanted. So, if you Brooklyn, is that a realistic possibility? And would the New York fan base get behind you? I think they would. They do it with the Yankees. When Cashman comes out and tells us, yo, we're starting over. And this is who we're starting over with. We're starting over with Aaron Judge. We're building our unit. When Derek Jeter retires, when all of those guys go, We're starting over, and this is who we're building our unit around. And the Yankee fan base, they get behind him. And the reason why they get behind him, because there's a track record there with Cashman. Well, the same thing could happen in Brooklyn. For them to announce, all right, well, this thing with Kyrie Irving didn't work. We're going to get back a bunch of pieces and some draft picks. This thing with Kevin Durant, we're gonna send Kevin Durant somewhere where he's going to be able to play and be productive. And we're going to get back a bunch of pieces, and we're going to build this thing around Ben Simmons. Would the Brooklyn fan base get behind that? That wouldn't surprise me. That would not surprise me if they did. It would not at all. So I think that, again, I think Marks is over Kyrie Irving. I don't think that he plays for Brooklyn again. I think that they do move off of him, and I think that they get a really good deal for him. Really good. So this is my favorite time of the year, guys. Free agency is coming up in a couple of days, which is going to be even better because now pieces start to move around and guys get signed, guys get traded. So this is going to be good. And again, guys, I'm going to be here for as long as you want me here. So until then, take it light, but take it.